Despite most of the bigger outlets claiming that PSVR2 is dead, some even claiming it was DOA at launch, we've gotten non-stop bangers month after month. In fact, during our 4-hour live debate where we made this top 25 list, it became clear that even if we made a top 50, some essentials would still get left out. So let the naysayers say what they want. People who actually own this thing and play it have a ton of awesome games at their disposal, and a lot more on the way. But that's a different video. So let's check out the top 25 PlayStation VR2 games as of June 14th, 2024.
Puzzling Places is a relaxing, engaging puzzle experience, truly enhanced by the VR medium. Solve 3D jigsaw puzzles photographed from beautiful locations from around the world, all in stunning high resolution. With endless DLC to choose from and the recent addition of 2-player co-op, Puzzling Places is an amazing way to spend an afternoon.
In the absence of a Crash Team Racing or a Mod Nation Racers, Galaxy Kart fills the void with a 6-player competitive action, tons of tracks, and a variety of vehicles and weapons. Colorful environments running at a native 90 FPS and intuitive sense control or wheel support make it so much fun to play. Galaxy Kart could still use some polish, but it's so much fun that it deserves a spot on this list.
Fans of late 80s and early 90s anime are gonna feel right at home with Runner's futuristic motorcycle combat. It's a fast-paced racing shooter where you'll navigate through futuristic tracks, avoiding obstacles and taking down boss after boss. This retro-inspired arcade masterpiece makes great use of haptics and adaptive triggers and comes with a challenge that can only be described as old-school difficulty.
In a world where the term roguelike is almost a death sentence, the Light Brigade stands out on PlayStation VR2 and demonstrates that roguelike does not have to mean no content. Use weapons and magic to take down enemies and unlock new abilities, new items, and new classes that make the Light Brigade endlessly replayable.
Taste my steel!
Demeo brings tabletop RPGs to life, offering a social and strategic gaming experience for up to 4 players online. With multiple quests and warriors to choose from, Demeo is never the same game twice. Plus, playing on PSVR2 with amazing haptics and environmental detail really brings this genre to life.
You will be destroyed!
When I first saw the trailer for Stilt, I assumed it would be about pure chaos and bouncing yourself wildly from place to place. So I was thrilled to find out that the actual gameplay, just like a traditional 2D platformer, is all about learning the mechanics and pulling off precise jumps. Add in some fun puzzle solving, boss fights, and a ton of levels to explore, and you've got yourself a must-have VR platformer.
Ancient Dungeon is a roguelike dungeon crawler with endless replayability, procedurally generated dungeons, and with a ton of random power-ups and store items means that no 2 runs will ever be the same. Plus, the PSVR2 version makes the voxel art style pop with deep blacks, great lighting, and an insanely high frame rate and resolution.
As a follow-up to OG PSVR favorite Until Dawn Rush of Blood, the Dark Picture Switchback VR offers a thrilling roller coaster ride through a haunted world, plenty of possessed enemies, and jump scares. And since launch, developer Supermassive Games has gone back to the drawing board to improve the visuals, speed up the load times, and deliver a brand new horde mode that finally makes good use of those don't blink mannequins.
Known for intense tactical gameplay and a variety of social game modes like TTT and the Hide, plus crossplay ensuring that lobbies are always full, Pavlov is easily one of the best multiplayer first-person shooters we've ever played. And on PSVR 2 we, yet again, get the best version of the game with better looking environments, haptics and adaptive trigger support.
Machines attack this settlement.
Machines don't attack settlements.
Climbing Simulator first, actual Horizon game second, Call of the Mountain lets you experience the dangerous, post-apocalyptic world filled with mechanical creatures the series is known for, but in first-person VR. It gets a bad rep for not being a true Horizon game, but what's here is still pretty awesome.
Acclaimed PC VR game Vertigo 2 made its way over to PlayStation VR2 earlier this year, and despite some gripes about frame rates, there's no denying this is one epic single-player adventure. Plenty of combat, silly characters, modifiers, and even some branching paths are all here to keep things interesting.
Deemed by some to be Devil May Cry in VR, Hellsweeper is the follow-up to Sirento we've all been waiting for. Swapping between swords, guns, and magic on the fly in the middle of a bullet-time backflip means you'd better grow some VR legs, and fast. It's yet another roguelike and could use some more bosses, but the gameplay is just the way we like it. Fucking intense.
Not since Tony Hawk debuted back in 1999 have skating games been this fun or innovative. VR Skater's unapologetic learning curve and wide assortment of tricks, including manuals that let you string together massive combos, means that when you get a high score, you feel like you really earned it. Great haptics and a 90 native frame rate really bring this one to life on PSVR 2.
Crossfire Sierra Squad feels like an off-the-rails version of arcade classic Time Crisis. The single-player campaign is just the beginning, with the real fun being in the 50 co-op missions that let you and a friend take down thousands of enemies in a variety of environments. The developers have made countless improvements to the game since launch, including manual reloads, making it play better than ever.
Let's go!
Playing Moss Book 1 and 2 on PlayStation VR 2 reminds us that great games can always be better. Both games look stunning in high res with the OLED panels offering up a brightness and color depth that help bring Quill's charming world to life. The creative puzzles, heartwarming story, and storybook-like presentation mean that, even if you've already played these games last gen, they're worth experiencing all over again.
Even before the PSVR 2 release, Walkabout Minigolf was one of our most played social multiplayer games. But since then we've gotten a ridiculous amount of DLC, including 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Myst, Meow Wolf, and El Dorado. The physics are always spot on. Playing with a group of friends is a blast, and this week the developers introduced a series of new game modes to keep things fresh.
This is it, Operator. Conrad's deepest subconscious.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about being able to control items with my mind, and somehow Synapse, however you want to pronounce it, is the first VR game to give me telekinesis in any meaningful way. The skill tree is packed with awesome abilities, the beautiful black and white environments are in contrast to streaks of neon colour, and the voices of David Hayter and Jennifer Hale are the cherry on top. Say what you want about the game's length, Synapse is just too fun to pass up.
Red Matter drops us into an alternate Cold War reality with a focus on inventive puzzles, detailed environments, a good sense of humor, and scanning everything in sight. That gave us Metroid Prime vibes. Fast forward a few years and Red Matter 2 expands on the formula with stealth mechanics, combat, and even some platforming. Don't miss out on this series, or you'll be missing out on two of the best games that VR has to offer.
Something just doesn't add up.
Objects that they use as conduits between worlds.
I don't think any of us believed the hype that Madison VR was going to be the scariest game ever made. But when we were pushing forward on the analog stick with our eyes closed, our mental and physical states completely drained, it was time to admit we were wrong. Madison is terrifying. But what it doesn't get enough credit for are the inventive puzzles which require the constant use of a Polaroid camera and the engaging story that still haunts me more than a month after completing it.
Learning what makes Legendary Tales special might only come after you've spent a dozen hours with it, and then realizing you could have spent those last dozen hours playing in a completely different way. It's a little Dark Souls with its often insane challenge, a little Diablo with all the loot and customization available, and while playing alone can be fun if you just want to grind, you probably should team up with a few friends if you want to make some progress. Legendary Tales is a massive step forward for deep mechanics in VR games.
Making lists like this can be painful. No one wanted to leave out awesome essentials like Song in the Smoke Rekindled, Beat Saber, Pistol Whip, Propagation Paradise Hotel, The Seventh Guest, Genotype, Tetris Effect Connected, Knock, Vampire the Masquerade Justice, Hubris, Cube VR, and countless others from the list. So shout out to all the awesome honorable mentions that sadly didn't make the cut.
Back on PSVR, we tolerated No Man's Sky's blurry visuals and complicated move controls because it gave us an endless universe to explore with friends, an infinite number of planets to harvest, items to craft, bases to build, ships to buy, and with every update more and more content was added. But on PlayStation VR2, we no longer have to tolerate anything. The DFR patch put No Man's Sky up there with some of the best visuals you can experience in the headset, making the PSVR2 version, yet again, the best way to play.
If I'd have known you were gonna cause this much trouble.
It's no secret that The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution kinda just feels like more Saints and Sinners, with a few extra locations, some ultra challenging night missions, and oh yeah, a chainsaw. But Chapter 1 was possibly the best VR game of last gen, basically redefining the term VRAF. So more scavenging, survival, crafting, and zombie killing certainly isn't a bad thing. These games are simply a masterpiece and both deliver full-length, complete experiences that are rare in the VR space. Plus the PSVR 2 version of Chapter 2 is crystal clear and looks stunning in the headset.
Here we go.
Old school survival horror purists will identify Resident Evil 4 as the moment when the series started to pull away from horror and started focusing on action. But when it comes to VR, that might be a blessing for a lot of people. Killing non-stop enemies, upgrading a huge selection of weapons, and keeping Ashley safe is all par for the course here with full trophy support and environments that have even more stunning visuals than Village. Let this be a valuable lesson to all the skeptics out there who don't think third-person games can ever work in VR.
It's a little shocking that Village ended up ranking higher on this list than Resident Evil 4, especially since Village is lacking trophy support, which ruins the replay value for a good amount of gamers. But it's a little more horror-centric, and as a natively first-person adventure, it's able to push the VRAF immersion through the roof. Interacting with items feels better, and most of the cutscenes happen in first-person VR. But it's the bosses that blew us away the most, with the scale of them in VR being so much more impactful than they ever were on the flat screen. Which of the two Resident Evils is better comes down to a matter of preference. But there's no denying both games are essential pickups for PSVR 2 gamers.
A lot of us grew up playing arcade racers like Burnout and Ridge Racer, ignoring the sim racing genre completely. So when a game like Gran Turismo 7 gets patched with full PSVR 2 support, it seemed a little daunting. But I don't care who you are. From the moment the game switches into VR mode and you're in the cockpit of a photorealistic car, racing around a photorealistic track, everything changes. It feels amazing to play whether you have a full racing rig or just a standard DualSense, and the updates just keep coming, adding more events, new tracks, and even more cars to the over 500 already available. Gran Turismo 7 is a must-have for every PSVR 2 gamer.
Find your line.